Well, tomorrow's mid-year economic and fiscal outlook is going to be bad news for a whole lot of people. But I tell you who's going to have a good day, the publicly funded broadcaster. They're getting a big fat wad of your money. As I talked about at the top of the show, the ABC will receive an $83 million boost over the next 2 years, so they can give us some more exemplary journalism, like editing footage of our soldiers in Afghanistan, I suppose. By the way, we learnt today that the independent probe into that scandal at the ABC, they commissioned that. It's arrived 2 months late. Real cutting-edge stuff. And clearly it means they need more money. Let's bring in Linda Scott, former Labor councillor, and Lisa Goddard from Adoni Media. Linda, I know they're arguing, OK, well, the reason we're doing this is because the previous government cancelled the indexation. But if you look at the performance of the ABC this year, it's pretty hard to see a genuine argument for giving them more money without at least having some strings attached to it, like you've got to improve your ratings or perhaps don't edit people to look like war criminals.
Well, look, I know it's heresy to say it on Sky News, but the national broadcaster always gets a bit of a rough trot, doesn't it? It's a very hard task, and it's an increase in funding for the ABC and the SBS. And I think it is important as we come into really significant natural disaster season here in Australia. We all know, you've got the radio tuned on, particularly in regional parts of Australia, just in case you get that dangerous bushfire. We had those black summer bushfires not that long ago here in New South Wales that had a flood, that it took a flood to put out the bushfires. So I think it is the case that people recognise, even as avid watchers of this network, that there are times when all Australians need the ABC. They need a good quality public broadcaster. And as we come into the disaster season, I think it is important that we make sure the ABC is properly funded and funded to do those all-important jobs in the national interest.
Well, I don't argue with that, but Lisa, I mean, surely with the $1 billion odd we already give them, they can put out a few warnings about bushfires.
Yeah, Caleb and Linda, no one's arguing that we don't need the radio network across the regions or the important work that ABC News does across regional Australia. I think what sticks in everybody's claw is the fact that it is so biased on many programs and the amount of money that is poured into, and I'm sorry, comedy shows that just aren't funny. And then you look at the lack of accountability. I spoke to Heston Russell. You mentioned the review, Caleb. I spoke to Heston just a few minutes before coming on air. Despite the court finding ABC guilty of defaming Heston, despite the outcome of this review and still no one being held to account over that footage that was edited, he still has not received a personal apology from anyone within the ABC, to my understanding. So, where is the accountability in this network that keeps being given $1 billion, funding grants of our money? No accountability, and it's disgusting to see the amount of bias.
Well, I would have said that Kim Williams was too busy listening to Joe Rogan to be able to get on the blower to Heston Russell, but we know that he's not doing that.